Oh yeah, Cinema Club. It's another week. You know, we're still in quarantine, and it's a socially distanced episode. I'm Steve Des here with your lovely host, JP Saruno, El Don Dino, Jason Eccles, and now YG Naomi. Uh, Anywho, let me take the silly mask off because I'm by myself, so there's no point to it. Uh, this week's movie is The Big Short.
Not a silly mask, bro. Saves lives.
Say that's true. That's true. It saves
Save the
lives.
children. No,
Save the children. Save the elderly.
The
Save the
humans.
diabetics. Save the alcoholics. Everything. Save the shorters of Tesla stock, but that's another topic for another time. The movie of this week is The Big Short, and it was picked by me. And The Big Short is a 2015 American biographical comedy drama film directed by Adam McKay, written by McKay and Charles Randolph, and it is based on the 2010 book The Big Short: Inside the Doomsday Machine by Michael Lewis, showing how the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008 was triggered by the United States housing bubble. And this film, I picked it because it's a star-studded film. There's so many cameos, so many people, and he talks specifically about what's going on kind of right now, not necessarily a housing bubble, which I think we are in a housing bubble, low-key, but talking about stocks, the stock market and everything, and like how other people benefit when other people were suffering. And that's something that's kind of sort of happening right now. There's an exchange when there's a crash or a recession of some kind. It's basically an exchange of wealth. And some people that were poor become wealthier. Some people that were wealthier become even more wealthier. And some people that were some kind of wealthy, they become poor as fuck. That happens. But I want to know your first thoughts, everybody. Let's start with Dino, because I caught you sipping. So
So I had seen this movie, I guess a year or two after it came out. And my initial response when I finished watching the movie, I hated it. I hate the whole situation, like you were mentioning, taking advantage of other people and stuff like that. So I wasn't looking forward to watching it again, just because it me daba rabia. Like just thinking about it, it like boils my blood of like how these, corporations, banks, people can take advantage of other people, right? Like the people that have less always end up getting taken advantage of. So I really didn't want to watch it, but I did. Again, for you, Steve, and only you. And I hope I never have to watch this movie again. That being said, objectively, the movie I think is done really well. I really enjoy it. Almost feels documentary at times, very much like if you're just like a fly in the wall. I also enjoy most of the times that they would break the fourth wall and talk directly at the camera. So I really enjoyed the structure of the movie and how it had that documentary film and how they would have like quick little montage or clips. And in one of them, I don't know if you, Steve, or JP noticed, but there was a commercial of Hardee's slash Carl's Jr. Like just a split second of like we were talking about that, I guess, yesterday or the day before. And so I was thinking of you guys. So I really enjoyed the way the film was done. And again, as I was watching it, because I started watching it this morning, I watched half of it this morning and then the other half this afternoon. And I should have just stopped this morning because I was really liking it. And then this afternoon, when I finished the movie, I'm again just like very upset and angry. But that's the subject matter, not the movie is really well done. It has a great cast. It has some really good acting. So yeah, that was my initial response. I really enjoyed it, especially the documentary style filming that they did.
thank you so much, Dino. Naomi, tell me your initial first thoughts.
This is not my kind of movie. I fell asleep. Um, I shouldn't have watched this at 10:30 p.m. and then like by 11:30 I was like knocked out. So that's my fault. So when I watched it again, god damn it, I was interested in, well, not even really interested. It's just like how fucking illiterate I am in financial terms. So then I had to fucking Google half of these shit. And I'm like, God damn, I have a new dictionary. I have this whole new thing to fucking Google. I'm into this whole new era, whatever. All I know is that I ended up learning a lot more than I thought I would have. Um, I like this movie, but I don't like this movie. I like this movie because Steve Carell, am I saying his name right?
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite dudes to watch, and he plays like his character very well, and that's my favorite reason as to why I like this movie. But it's not my kind of movie, as I fell asleep and I had to Google half of the stuff. So that's my initial thoughts.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Now, Jason, what are your initial thoughts, brother?
This is my second time seeing this movie. I originally saw it when it first came out, and I loved it. I loved it even more this time. Um, I understood it the first time around because I had already watched like a ton of documentaries about the housing collapse and the financial, crisis that started from like the Great Recession in 2008. I was very much in the middle of it, being from Detroit. So, we were hit with it hard, and it was on the news every night for everybody, I'm sure. But you guys probably all remember, if you were watching the news at that time, they were really focused on Detroit because it was bad here. Um, so I will say this: the second viewing of this movie, I understood way more than the first time, and I got it the first time. But now I kind of understand how banking works better, than I did the first time around, because it's complicated, and they talk about how complicated it is in the movie, but essentially how simple it is. And they create all this language in this huge lexicon of language and words just to confuse the average person. So
Exactly.
you have to learn the language to find out what they're talking about. It's actually incredibly simple. It's just like, we're moving money over here, we're moving money over here. We're creating a tool to throw money over here. That's essentially what's going on. Um, Adam McKay is a brilliant director. He's so good because I'm going to say 90% of all directors would fail in making a movie about finance interesting. And he just kind of weaves in and out. I never read the book. I don't know if anybody here has experience with the book. I don't think I would want to read the book. I don't know if it's anything like how this is, but man, he made it wildly interesting. I mean, even just the inserts of having the movie stars in there, kind of just like to keep propping the movie up. Like, okay, don't let us lose you. We're gonna have like an attractive person explain this thing to you real quick. Um, I thought the casting from top to bottom was awesome. I believed everybody in this thing. Nobody annoyed me. Everybody was like perfectly in their slot, and they played their role. It was very much an ensemble movie. Um, there really were no small roles. Everybody just sort of delivered. Um, it is a prime example of the direction of a comedic director. I believe personally that comedic directors are the best directors. Like, if you can understand comedy, you can do drama, you can do comedy, you can do, horror, you can do anything. You can do romance, because there's comedy in all things, and comedy, has a ton of tragedy in it. And you just take away the comedy, and now you got some tragedy. So again, he sort of proves that point. Tons of comedies have made me cry over the years. Probably even more so than most dramas, to be honest with you. Um, with that said, I enjoyed the movie. I would like to hear from you guys at some point. Um, Kind of what Naomi was saying, when Naomi said, like, well, I needed to pull out my dictionary to understand this thing. Like, did you guys get it at all? Because even though I got a lot of it, I still had to rewind it a lot to say, wait, what did they say again? How did that work? And okay, I got it. Like, I think I got it. And there's probably still a ton I don't understand. But I did like the movie. I'm glad I got to watch it again. And I love Adam McKay's movies, man. Like the Bombshell that just came out last year. I don't know if you guys saw that one. Also awesome about the inner workings of Fox News. Like that's like crazy and wonderful. I'm not Fox News, but you know the how he how he breaks down the simplicity of Fox News. Like you would think like to run a media conglomerate, it's like, oh, this is really complex stuff. These guys are like the smartest guys. They're not, you know. And he's like, well, let me show you who they really are. There are a bunch of actors in the room. All right, enough of that. But that's my take on this movie and the direction of the film, at least initially.
Thank you so much, Jason. JP.
Whoever edited this movie you could tell they had a good fucking time with it. But like, I'm not gonna lie, like I did feel that the movie was very overwhelming at times. It's the only thing that I actually really personally enjoyed out of the film was the characters, how like it's very character driven, and I did appreciate some of the gimmicky shit that they did to try to educate you along the way so you don't get lost. But I do feel like it was kind of overdone. But at least it was consistent. So it's weird because like I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. I was not a big fan of like them cutting away to celebrities or them cutting away to like the fourth breaking of the fourth walls. But at least they did it consistently where it's like, oh, okay, it's that type of movie. That's fine. Like it's whatever. I did, however, it was kind of jarring because there was moments where I did catch it still doing the very mockumentary type of cinematography, very much like almost The Office type of deal. But then there'll be moments where they stop and they film like if it was an actual like movie. Like I mean like story-wise, like, oh, this is a film. Like right now we're going to shoot as a film, not like some reality TV show or whatever like that. But I don't know. I guess for me, like, it was just one too many things going on at once. But somehow, like, I'm going to put that bias aside. Even though I was not a fan of it, it actually did make the landing. But I just think that they could have done without as much as they did. But that's the style of the film. So, like, I enjoyed it. It was infuriating to watch, especially when you kind of know what's going on. Because, during 2008, that fucked up my family very much. I kind of wished that they showed that part more, like how did it affect people in general. But I feel like they were kind of in the realm of like, well, the people who got affected, they're going to be the ones watching the film. So they already know. But maybe for like future moviegoers or like if someone watches this movie for historic references, like later on down the road. And that was another reason why I didn't really like the cameos or the celebrities kind of like explaining what's going on, because like who's gonna know who those fuckers are in like 20, 15 years? I mean, hopefully they have longevity. I mean, except Anthony Bourdain, but you know what I mean by that. But yeah, like who's gonna Margot Robbie's an attractive character and that bit was funny. But I was like, but did it really serve anything to the purpose other than like a quick gag? But that's just me.
A quick gag.
Question, it was 2015. Was Margot Robbie known back then?
Yeah.
I don't know if she was in that many other things.
Was she like in Transformers or something?
Oh,
she was
definitely
in Wolf of
not.
Wall Street. Her character was Naomi.
Oh, yeah, she was in that. Was Wolf of Wall Street in around 2015?
She also did I, Tonya. Have you guys seen that? Oh,
yeah, that came out like a year. I, Tonya is newer.
Yeah, she got bigger for certain like 2015 after she got really big, for sure. Now that you mentioned like Wolf of Wall Street, I think like in the last during our talk with Des and Dino, I did bring up I think the Laundromat. And I felt like if Laundromat and The Wolf of Wall Street had like a kid, it would be this movie.
I want to talk about the Margaret Robbie scene, where she's in the bathtub.
Yeah.
I really thought that was badly edited, just because there was
that one
cup in her hand, and then the cup disappeared. I'm like, damn, I hate when
I couldn't tell if that was intentional because they do that a few other times in the movie as well.
Yeah, the
So I felt
Jenga
like
pieces.
maybe. So it was like maybe they just didn't. Maybe during filming they didn't have a script on hand or like someone to keep the continuity in place. But I almost thought that was part of the aesthetic of the film, which is why I said like it became overwhelming because I kept on noticing a few things. Like I couldn't tell like was that on purpose? If it was on purpose, at least they're still doing it or whatever.
Yeah,
The
to
fact
me
that I
that's the one scene that I for sure feel if I were to be part of the production team or whatever, that's the one that I would either reshoot entirely, like do something completely different to give that point, or I would have edited differently. But I for sure had the same thought of like, wait, is this edited bad on purpose? Or because I also noticed that there was like a lot of things off about that particular scene, but it's quick enough to like kind of move on.
I think so, because I feel like the Jenga pieces is what was really frustrating me, because it would cut and then all the Jenga pieces are on the table, and then it's a different cut and the little box is still on, hiding the Jenga pieces, and then it just went back and forth, and then you see him smash it. And I think it's just purposely they decided to have a very much crazy edit, kind of just like we're just going boom, 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 kind of trying to do a little bit of a sensory overload, kind of like when they would show pop culture images or clips from what's showing on TV and stuff like that. So I bet they didn't do it, and luckily they didn't do it for the whole movie. But I think that's an easy technique when they're doing editing stuff. I wondered also, like, how long are these scripts? How long are these scenes that they're cutting it down like that? Is it, again, like just this whole, like, bank jargon that Margot Robbie, like, Margot Robbie filmed for, like, 30 minutes of just her explaining, breaking it down, and everyone's like, yeah, we need to cut that. And so I feel like that happened a lot, maybe. Like, it's just like, all right, they're just repeating the same thing, or how can we, yeah. So I think that on purpose, they made it really choppy, chop, 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 chop.
Oh, without a doubt. They also did the same thing in the Anthony Bourdain cooking scene. They're like flashing on the knife, they're flashing on the fish, they're flashing on other chefs in the kitchen cooking. They flash on him like laughing in the kitchen with the other guys,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because like it's a lot of jargon, and people are watching this in the movie theater, and you don't want them to get sleepy. So you do fast, quick edits and cuts like that to keep people going.
Psychological factor into it.
Oh, for sure. Scorsese once said that if you don't want to lose your audience, or actually an executive at Warner Brothers told Scorsese, he said that if you don't want to lose your audience, you need to make a reference to sex, drugs, or violence every 5 minutes in a movie. And you could talk about any subject you want, but there has to be a reference to one of those three every 5 minutes, and you'll have a successful movie.
Wow.
That's definitely crazy.
Yeah. I usually don't tell people that, because that's like one of those insider Hollywood secrets that I want to use, and I want too many people to think about it.
I was just like, there's sex again. Jason and sex and guns.
I thought doesn't everybody watch a movie like with their clock going like, okay, the sex is coming in now.
Exactly.
That's how I do it.
Well, now while I'm watching Pixar.
I know.
But Pixar sex is just really sad stuff. People dying. Like,
yeah. You don't remember the sex scene in Up?
But that's like what people at Pixar get off is on, like, how can we make something happy just be super freaking sad? And that's sex for them. It's
We're
just
gonna
like,
fuck 'em.
How many tears can I get people to shed? And that turns me on.
Wait,
It's what I heard from my guy that works at Pixar. I know people in the biz.
Yeah, you
I will say
you pay
this.
extra for those scenes.
Yeah, I will say the at least in live theater, I don't know where I picked it up, but I started saying that, maybe just pulled it out of nowhere, but that at least in a live theater, like the audience is kind of asking them every 7 seconds, the audience asks themselves, why am I watching this? So that, just to kind of piggyback that on to Jason saying that about what people think movies are.
Every
Like,
7 seconds? Jesus. Why am I here right now?
Yeah.
I wish I didn't know that. Like, as an actor, like,
Oh, you did.
I don't ever want to have to think about that on stage. Like, the audience is now asking, why are they even here right now?
I mean, if you're not a fan of theater, it is a chore to fucking go to the
theater. When teaching improv, that's what I would, that's one thing I would bring up. It's like, make choice, like, do something, make choices. The audience is already wondering why they're there. So
in LA, that law is pretty much as soon as they walk in the door, they're like, why am I here?
My friend invited me to this stupid improv show.
Yeah. Or like,
at 11 p.m. in fucking Skid Row.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know there was a theater here. Where's my wallet?
Right.
And why am I paying a 2-drink minimum? What?
I know. Anyway, but so that's a thing. So
now I know hard edits are to capture attention, because our attention span is very short.
Yeah.
And sex. It
sells.
And guns.
And guns.
And guns.
And drugs.
And drugs.
Some all at the same time. Just
now,
Al Pacino movie.
Just to switch gears real quick. Who was your favorite character of the movie and why? Let's start with Naomi.
As I mentioned before, Steve Carell. Just because he cared about humanity. Like, I don't know, just because of how he was saying certain things when he was in a conversation with his wife, just made me feel as if he was a hero in this whole story. But that's just my perspective. What about you guys?
I would say the first time I saw it, I had even mentioned, I was just like, there's not a single likable character in the movie, for me, personally. I was like, they're all... And this time watching it again, I saw how they kind of got away with that, is that they were trying to say, we're giving it to the banks. You know what I mean? Like, we're not the ones screwing the everyday people. We're gonna screw the banks because they're the one. And at the end of the day, clearly it didn't matter because so it's still hard for me to pick. I know it's kind of a cop out. I still don't like any of those people. Anyone that works with that kind of money or whatever, I just think they're a bunch of assholes. I do wish we would have seen more of Marisa Tomei, right? And like her, a little bit more of like the whole brother thing, right? Like, no one really shared stuff about their family. Like, we didn't see much of that, right? We saw Batman doing laps at the pool and then drumming in his basement. And then he has like one line, like 2 or 3 lines that is just voiceover of how he met his wife on Match.com. And I was like, maybe if I got more of that, I would feel better about some of these characters.
His title was an MD, and he ended up being a stock market trend setter or trend spotter. Shit, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Train spotter?
Like,
trend
he's
spotter.
The trend of what was going to happen in the market, because once you're in the field of a certain field, you understand that there's trends that are going to happen. So so since it was based on a true story, the FBI ended up interrogating his ass. I didn't go further detail. I just saw the last end of the captions, but
Well,
it's
what I mean, if that's actually true, what's crazy is that he tried to get he was trying to get in touch with the White House to give them a heads up and be like, "This is how I figured this out, guys," and they wouldn't talk to him. But he got audited. I don't know how many times by the
Yeah,
three
4
or
times
four.
by the FBI.
No, by the IRS. He got
IRS,
audited, and then the FBI came and talked to him. So it's not like they took up on him trying to like teach people how to figure this out.
they
It's
were afraid of him.
yeah, they're like, you're ruining all these banks, all this money.
Yeah.
Anyway, people were supposed to talk about their favorite characters. So far, I don't think I have one. Someone else can.
I got a least favorite character. Like, I don't have a favorite either. My least favorite character had to be Ryan Gosling, because I felt like his was very much one note, and it's like, okay, you guys couldn't cast young Sean Penn, so we're gonna get Ryan Gosling instead. But and also like out of all the characters, like he was the one that was the most like egotistical and kind of mostly despicable. He was one of the ones that was kind of more irredeemable, because even though he was the one that was kind of like the most vocal about like, oh, we're gonna stick it to him, but at the same time I was like, I don't know, because like the other characters, at least you could kind of tell they knew that this was still morally wrong, and like things are gonna get pretty fucked up if this is true. But like, nah, I wasn't interested in his character at all, to be quite honest.
Wasn't he double dipping? Because he was working with a bank that they bought their stuff off, and he was trying to get them to buy more, and then he was gonna get bonus and get paid on the front and on the back once they went out, right? Isn't that somehow insider trading also?
Fucking douche.
I wouldn't know. Like, I'm sure it explained it, but it probably went over my head. It's like I cannot retain.
My thing with it, and I don't know if my TV is better. Well, it is better. It was a smaller TV when I watched it the first time. Was his hair dye like really weird, or was it just me? Like,
it seemed really dark in the beginning
and reddish, kind of a dark red at times. Like maybe someone threw wine at him because of and so it's like this burgundy kind of weird hairline thing going on.
I'm sure if it was not intentional, it was probably because he was in another project at the time. Because I did notice that too. It's like his hair's being inconsistent, and I can't tell if it's because there's a jump in time or if something else is going on.
Probably reshoots.
Yeah, different makeup lady or something. I didn't notice, to be honest with you. My favorite character is Steve Carell, because it was admirable how his main focus, like right from jump, they illustrated him as being someone who was focused on humanity. He was like, people got to wake up, man. Like, they're worried about what's on reality TV, and they're being bent over right now, don't even realize it. And like, nobody cares what's happening, and he wasn't even aware of the financial crisis at that time. He just knows that people are getting cheated in every possible fashion. And his thing, a lot of his thing was, it was like, I can't save everybody. Like, it's just not possible to save 300 million people, but I'm going to really stick it to the banks, and I'm going to destroy them for this, and I might as well get rich while I do it. I mean, and I guess that's kind of the premise of the movie too. But also, like, Steve Carell's acting, he makes the character so complex. There's a lot going on, and it's so layered, and just his performance. And he's also playing someone who might be a bit like mentally ill and neurotic, you know what I mean? And he's dealing with anger issues and family stuff and work stuff, and he's clearly brilliant, and he's juggling so much, and you can see it in the performance. To play someone that's brilliant, I imagine you got to be pretty brilliant, to make that work. So I'm going to say Carell. Oh, I mean, and a very close second is Michael Burry, Christian Bale. Like, because same story, kind of, right? Except without so much of like the emotion. You know what I mean? Like the empathy for people, but just like, I mean, Christian Bale, he's freaking a killer. You know what I mean? He's so good. He's so good.
Does anyone know how they fucking did his eye? Did they just do that in post?
I kept
'Cause
thinking the same thing. Like,
that
is
was
that
bugging
acting
me.
right now? Did he figure out how like to make his eye stay still and his other eye move? Is it a contact?
Took
Right.
his eye out.
I couldn't figure it out.
He Minority Report that shit, man.
His method, bro. He took his eye out and just put a glass eye, and then put his regular eye back after the movie.
Well, definitely, Christian Bale's character is probably. I mean, he seems to have the most time, right? Because he discovered the thing, so I feel like screen time he had the most, and his mannerisms and all that. I wish. I don't. Maybe he's really into the heavy metal stuff. I just wish they would have picked. They would just change that to, I don't know, Garfunkel and Oates or something. Just like every time I would go into heavy metal, I was just like, I'm glad I don't have my headphones on for this. I mean, that's jarring, which I get it fits with the whole point of the movie also. But I was just wishing that it was like, I get it. Can it be something else?
To me, the whole heavy metal thing, it was very reflective about what he was dealing with emotionally, because he made the biggest bet he could ever make, and he was going negative like constantly, and he could have completely lost it all, but he was still having faith in everything. That was my favorite character, especially at the beginning, because when he was having that interview with that guy, you could see that he was so focused on what he was doing about the housing market and the next move he was going to make. He didn't care about what that guy said. Yeah. He was just like, this is what I'm doing. This is the information I'm dumping to you, but I'm in my world. Whatever you say, I'm not taking in. Go do your thing.
Yeah, he's already in the mode of like, oh, you're already hired. Like, we were just talking.
Yeah, almost like the telemarketing thing, at the very end, just in the middle, I like Steve Carell more, especially what I like more about his character was the fact that it's true as well, is that he would just randomly storm out of places. Like when he was like asking a question, he was like picking up a phone call and like just not giving a fuck, being like, these idiots over here. And at the very end, I was liking more the character of Brad Pitt, because first I just read that he actually produced this film, so great way to position himself. But what I like was the fact that he went out of his way, the character went out of his way to help these two kids to gain some money, just so they realize that money doesn't buy you happiness. That's what I felt like. That was like kind of like the intention of that particular character. It's like, hey, this is what you want? Okay, here you go. It's not going to change a thing about your happiness,
Talk about a trend spotter, because they pick him up at the airport and he salutes the Asian guy with the mask, and then the camera turns around and he has a mask on coming down the escalator, and it's like, okay, I see you, Brad Pitt. Also, I think this movie might have been the movie when I was like, Brad Pitt's turning into Robert Redford.
Yeah, this is one of them for sure.
Yeah, this is like with the older Robert, the maturing Robert Redford, of like the kind of unkept beard, kind of getting a little white in there, and the big glasses. I was like, okay, I see you, Robert Redford, Brad Pitt.
100%. This is Robert Redford's role like 40 years ago, 30 years ago, right?
How informational or woke, I guess you could say, with Brad Pitt's character when he was talking about the Monsanto seeds. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait, I just read about that 2 days ago, and he was mentioning this in 2005. So I'm like, how well informed is this Brad Pitt character? What was this guy's name? Nobody.
Michael Rickard.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was thank you. Michael Rickard was really woke from his era.
No, my bad. Ben Rickard.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
Sir Ben was beyond his time talking about don't get them Monsanto seeds. I don't know.
Well, that's his job. His job was to know.
But he also just had a big old problem. You're saying Monsanto doesn't have money? No, they have money. His whole thing, he was paranoid. I mean, I don't know how many phone lines he had, right? And he's like, they're listening in. And then he's talking about seeds, about real seeds, because of like, you need to do it yourself.
Grow your own.
And in the pub, he's like, before he even leaves, he's putting on hand sanitizer and just like cleaning up everything before he leaves.
So what's interesting, the movie was done in 2015, right? So we don't know how, the whole seed thing, is that just another, because that could be an Adam McKay thing or whoever, that they wrote.
Okay.
Kind of adding, I mean, it could be a thing.
No, you're right. It's a biopic.
And then,
whatever.
even biopics can take some liberties. But I will say this, I was very, at the very end, Christian Bale's character, it says like, he decided to go and he only deals with water, which is a huge thing that's going, water rights. That when I saw this movie, I was like, yep, it's like in South America, the largest underwater reserve, underground water reserves of the world, drinkable underground water reserve in the world is in Paraguay. It's bordered Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina. It's like giant underground lakes of drinkable water, and it's all about who can like get to that water, who can put naming rights, or who can take all that water, and that's part of the next, like money. Water is going to be gold.
So how effed are we gonna be? Because this year's not over yet. And he predicted his character predicted the housing market like what, 3 years in advance?
Well, water is a serious issue. They talk about that. There's actually, if you're listening, there's a lot of TV shows and movies that bring that up, and it's usually like rich people, like, hey, the water is going to be an issue. I mean, I've seen it probably in, just off the top of my head, I could probably name 5 or 6 movies or TV shows that have just like thrown it out there.
James Bond. Sadly, it wasn't the better Solstice, I think. The second one that Blondie McBlunderson did. I can't remember his name right now.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah, Daniel Craig. The one that they go to like Peru, it's all about water rights also. It's about, which I think they did it in a way which just wasn't as entertaining, because they're dealing about towns and cities losing water, and so like the best way to take control is if whoever is in charge of the water.
The movie Rango, the whole message of that movie is who controls the water controls the future and the world. Have you guys seen that movie Rango?
Yeah,
only part.
It's animated. It's the only animated picture by Industrial Light and Magic, who pretty much started Star Wars and like basically modern day special effects.
I know Johnny Depp plays Rango.
I don't know. Johnny Depp is in it.
Yeah, Johnny.
Pixar broke off of IOM though, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, it's all like in that circle, because also like Steve Jobs and George Lucas, they also had a stake in Pixar. But like that was their first and only animated picture from ILM.
I thought it was DreamWorks movie, but maybe I'm wrong.
So I have a question about one of the financial aspects of the movie, and I'm sure you all probably like have something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys understood it 100%. There's something I didn't get, and maybe you guys have the answer for me, or not. That's cool too. But I don't know I didn't really understand what he meant when he created those that instrument to be able to buy the housing market. And the bank said, like, you could do it, but we need you to pay a premium on the credit swaps, right? I don't know what they were talking about where he would have to pay a monthly premium on the credit swaps. Like, why would he have to pay in order to short the stock or short the instrument? You know, I guess it was kind of a stock or the ETF or whatever it was supposed to be. Like, what did that? Does anybody know what that means? Like, because I've never heard of you having to pay a premium. It's like it wasn't insurance; it was a instrument that collected all the bonds. Like, why do you have to pay a premium on it?
Because he was inventing it and he was introducing that to the banks. I don't know if I'm making sense. He like
Well, so are you just saying they just
identified-
set the rules because it was a new thing?
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
identified something in that was happening. Okay, I'm gonna speak it in general terms, no jargon or anything.
Yeah,
He
please.
identified something that happened, that was happening or existing. So therefore, he found like there's a bubble. Oh, let me show you what this bubble is gonna do, and I'm gonna sell stock out of my idea. I don't know. That's how I understood it in general terms. And that's why he had to do the premiums, because then if he was wrong, then there's no market. I don't know.
Yeah, I see it. I see it just based on that. Like I see it more like as like the insurance, because he's basically creating like a whole new lane that.
So he had to pay insurance to ensure that they were going to get their money because they already had the money, right?
Because they get paid out, right? They were paying stuff out during that period, right? That's what I understood. Like, fine, we'll let you buy in, but also as our money, as the stocks, not the stocks, but as the value of it goes up, you're gonna have to pay, right? You can't just put money and be like, I'm just gonna wait until you collapse. It's like as they keep needing to spend money, right? Like that's the thing. It just starts ballooning, and by ballooning, they also need money. They need that capital to go around, right? They need liquid capital, and that's where I think part of his money came in. That's kind of how I was getting at that. It was like, yeah, clearly this is already messed up. This is already has all these issues. So kind of like a sucker is born every second or whatever. Keep paying into this. You got to keep paying.
I think maybe I got it. I think maybe what you just said kind of opened it up. I think.
Oh, thank you. Because
No. I think it just made something click in my head, and plus Steve just wrote something, and I could be wrong, but let's just see if I'm right.
Because basically, like, it's also not his money, so that's the reason why he puts like extra insurance on it. To also, because they're gonna get paid somehow, like those people. That's why they're like, oh, buy however how many you want. Like, you're fucking crazy. You're giving us free money, basically. But he's protecting those assets by putting that insurance on top, which cost him more, but in the long run, that's what actually made him all the money and stuff.
I think when he shorted it, he actually didn't pay any money up front. He would have to pay that on the back end after it was over, after, he didn't meet the deadline or whatever, as like an option. But then I think he had to pay the premium so that they could make sure they were collecting the money so that he wouldn't be able to default completely. You know what I mean? Because like, oh, you're really going to default on $1.3 billion? Like, yeah, right. Like, you're just going to run off with the money. So you have to pay a monthly premium so that we make sure we're getting our dough up front. I think maybe that's it. But yeah, not to bore anybody watching this to death, but I was just trying to figure it out.
I don't know. Put your comments down below if you get it, guys. If you understand.
Like, real talk,
market,
if you know
like,
what it is, write it down below. Like, if you know why he was paying premiums on the...
Hey, Naomi, in the future, watching this, Naomi, in the future that you're watching this, comment below, what do you think it is?
Let me know. Let me know if I was right, because I feel like I might have confused myself, but allowed Jason to understand it better. But I feel
Hey,
like after
give it a thumbs up if you think I'm right, because I think I'm the one right here. Don't
give it a
believe.
thumbs up if you think I'm right as well. So.
And share this to your Facebook if you're like me and I have no idea what the fuck anything means.
I'm gonna get more water. I'll be right back.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Don't forget to invest in that water.
What was for you guys? Like, what was the scene that mainly like stood out to you? Like that was like, oh, that was clever.
Oddly
I like-
go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I was like, oddly enough, the two scenes that stood out to me were actually one of the reasons why this movie was like, it's not on my top 10. Is Ryan Gosling's Jenga scene for the visual representation of what's going on. Like, because that kind of was easy on me. And also, how fucking convoluted and how easily they showed, like, how kind of bullshit the financial stuff is with the thing with at the poker table, like how one bet is now like there another bet and another bet and another bet and another bet. Because like for that, like it was another thing, like, oh, visually, like I don't fucking understand what the hell's going on, but I was like, oh, that's what's going on. That's easy. I get that. And also, like, I just thought it was so damn funny. Like, out of all the people they picked, it was Selena Gomez, because she did seem generally confused and kind of like overreacting. But I'm sure that was because it's Selena Gomez. So that was I actually enjoyed those. I enjoyed that one because it was easy for me mentally, and it was. I thought I did find that scene humorous, and also for Ryan Gosling because like you could see like how hard of an idea this is to sell, you know, especially with Steve Carell and his crew, because all of them from the get they were like, okay, this has to be bullshit because this is crazy, and you're with them too, even though like we lived through it, like we know what's gonna happen. Like, no, he's completely right. Everything's going to go to shit soon. But, like, they didn't want to believe it and they didn't want to take a risk. And that kind of, like, kickstarts the movie. Because I actually liked Steve Carell's story better than the other ones because it was him and his crew. And they did, I think, a lot more homework on their end trying to find out how far does this go and how real is this? Because, like, the other two guys, like, they're not even on the poster. I don't even, Brad Pitt's people, the two young dudes,
Jamie and Charlie.
Yeah, even then, like they discovered it by a fluke, and the movie kind of says that, like, okay, we're simplifying that we didn't find this at a Chase Bank, we actually found it by hearsay, but that's pretty much like they found out by accident. They weren't presented this idea, and they didn't have to do that much homework to find out, oh shit, this could be real. You got to see Carell convincing his people, like, we have to find out for sure. And the Ryan Gosling scene was a thing that kickstarted it. So I really like that scene.
Just to piggyback from what JP said, one of my favorite scenes was that interview scene that Jamie and Charlie had, because they are people that are in the industry or getting into the industry, and they didn't even have a clue of qualifications.
Yeah.
And that's just to show you how like overly complicated like the system has made it for even people within the same industry to understand what the heck is going on.
They were managing $30 million already. They were
40.
already managing $30 million and they didn't get it.
40, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
That's fucking nuts. Like, you did feel kind of bad for him, but like saying it that like that is like, yeah, that's fucking nuts. Like they had people's fucking like welfare already. Like no, what I mean by that is, you know, like people's lives at stake.
Yeah.
Financially speaking, they didn't have a fucking clue. Well, they did, but they were like they
didn't know how like the
green.
Manhattan bigwigs work.
Yeah.
You know, like 30 million is still so far from $1 billion, which was like what they needed to enter. You know.
And they weren't even seen as much as the fucking player. They're fucking having the interview in the lobby.
that's great comedy right there. You're like, oh, have a seat, guy, like in the lobby, in the right waiting room. You can't even come in.
And that's the reason I like that scene too, is because there's so many people in the struggle that they just want to make $1 million. That will be like everything. And these people got 30 million and couldn't even sit at the table to get an interview.
Hold up. However, they got an interview after 3 p.m. Nothing is taken seriously after 3 p.m.
It was their interview was at 4:50.
4:50.
Oh, that's even worse.
Exactly. Nothing is taken seriously after your lunch break. I've worked in an office before. Oh my God. People won't take you seriously after 3 p.m. They're already coffee, on a coffee drag. Like, I want to fucking go home. It's my lunch break. Like, I've been there. I've been in an office where pitches have been in place and you're witnessing, okay, morning people get a different type of energy, but after 3 p.m., it's a drag. Fuck no. Coffee is done. Like, there's no more coffee in the coffee maker. You're like, there's so many factors that play within there. So anything after 3 p.m., good luck with that.
Good advice. Good advice.
Damn.
My favorite scene is in line with what JP was talking about. It was the end of the homework scene that Steve Carell and his team was doing. Because they're doing all that homework and they're all in Florida and they're like, all right, well, this is where, it's really happening. So let's get, to the dirt. Let's get down in the mud and see what's what. And when they start talking to the girl at the strip club and she has the inside track, like she's also in on the hustle. It's kind of like that saying, they like, when there's a good way to make money, when there's an opportunity out there, like once the cab driver starts telling you that he's in on it, it's over. It's been over. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like that. Like the stripper is also in on the hustle as well. Like the financial, it's just so far out of her realm. And it's like she's already on it. And so it's like, yeah, this whole thing is about to topple.
So
I like when that leads me to the moment where Steve Carell like kind of figures it out and you see his head spinning and he's like, short everything, buy as much as you can get, short all of it, like now. That moment where you see like him process all of the information we've just learned the whole movie, and then he pulls that trigger. That's my favorite point.
Not because it necessarily is my favorite, but I was going to bring up the stripper scene, right? But like the fact she's like, I own 5 houses and a condo. Like who, what? Like, where'd she get that money from? Like, who?
Hey, they win money.
Oh man, strippers get money, Dino.
Listen, like she was
5
probably
houses and a condo.
Money, man. I'll send you this Vice documentary about these strippers in Atlanta. Dino, some of these girls was making like $20,000 a night.
Some an hour. It's crazy.
She was probably sold on the idea by the one character from New Girl, like that, like that actor, because like even he was saying like I'll like, I don't care what your credit is, I don't care if you have it, I'm gonna give it to you, and so she was probably sold purely by his charisma as well. Because I thought, like, that was my thing when it clicked, like, oh shit, they don't even know. They're fucking up everything, and they don't even know.
Yeah.
How great is it that the one group, that lady that had the darkened glasses because she just got her eyes dilated or whatever? It's like, it's the whole idea of like, oh, she's blind. Like, no, they just pretend they don't give a fuck. The whole thing of like, oh, well, if we don't pass it, they'll go to next door and they'll pass it. And to me, just again, it's just one of those things that every single safety net that is supposed to be there is not. Like, and not just like in this banking, housing, whatever, but it just goes to show you how macro this is. Because it's in all types of businesses. It's in all types of things. And at the end of the day, it's, what was it? They were explaining, the guy that was like for a 5-minute helicopter ride right? Like he was explaining it also. I'm just like, wait, you're getting paid by the, just like all these, the whole math situation. Because that was the other point where I think Carell had the chance of, they're like, we need to sell, we need to do something. And then he's actually like, let's buy more, right? It was the stripper part where it's like, we're buying. And then it was the part where stuff was collapsing, but the prices was staying the same or they were going up even. And they're like, how is this happening? And then they get to that point and it's like, you know what? Let's buy even more. And yeah. Scene-wise, I don't know, man. It was weird. It's like so much has happened since then. I can tell you, my bigger reactions were seeing Anthony Bourdain, right, and seeing
sure.
Oh man, like, but seeing that when they would show shots of the tents, people living in that, and that family, that guy that was like, I've been paying my rent every single month, and like,
that
you
part.
mean my landlord, and all they can tell him is like, yeah, talk to your landlord, right? Like,
that's why I had a question about that.
That's the thing that triggered me, or that made me realize, like, oh shit, this affected everybody.
And
it was crazy.
And like, I walked my dog down to Echo Park Lake, and I think I was telling Jason yesterday, I think it was like, it's almost 30 times more tents than there were 4 months ago or whatever,
It's
30% more, or, like, I think I had, a while back, I counted maybe like 30, and it was like all like in one corner where the bust of Jose Marti is, which, by the way, if someone can tell me why there's a bust of Jose Marti in Echo Park in LA, that would be great. But seeing that, and seeing that clearly, because I don't know. No, that's not my favorite scene. But at the end, it's like, all these people went to jail and they put all these new rules, and then, it's like, psych. It's like seeing those scenes and seeing like, we still haven't learned. We still haven't changed. Like, there's people living out of their cars. Like, that's still a thing. Even down when I was in San Diego, there was this, again, I walked my dog. I had to do it early. So a lot of parks, you couldn't park there at night. But I think at like 5 or 6 a.m., like, you were, parking open and bathrooms open almost immediately. So usually when I would walk Frida at that time, cars would pull up, park, and one of them was this like single mom, like with her kid in the car. And I'm just like, not necessarily that she lost it, from the 2008 housing, but just the fact that that's where we are. Like, that's where we are. That's where we've been going towards. And after everything going on now, it's even more is going to be the situation.
It was definitely a repeat. It's just like, it's just different reason in history. Like, it would be the same scene right now if every one of those fuckers in those little montages were just wearing masks. It'd be the same scene.
What's crazy about this whole thing is that literally we are, in my opinion, nobody has said this out loud or whatever, but we are in a real estate bubble, like, currently, because literally housing prices have just been going up. They have never gone down ever since pandemic started. So basically, we're like doomed to kind of, in a way, repeat this cycle again. And this time,
that's what they say at the end of the movie, don't they?
Yes, they do.
They're like, there's a whole nother set of instruments they're using now and repackaging it the same thing.
And
with
they're
a
still
different
building.
terminology, like different marketing, I think.
The CDO, the whatever trench economic.
Yes.
But Jason, I've been telling you that the bubble is going to burst. Same thing how the improv bubble burst. I was like, the improv bubble and the housing bubble are connected. Because it's like, when it's a booming, they're both a booming. But like when one crashes, the other one crashes. Like that's
yeah,
how
it's hard to do improv when you don't have a place to live, Dino.
I know. Can
Really hard to focus.
Can I get a suggestion of a place that I could live that is not a
Yeah, right.
house? Because I
Exactly.
do not have a house.
You're like, what
So-
kind of
Denny's
improv show
parking
is
lot!
this?
Denny's parking lot.
Right.
But no, but
No, not for the show. I just need a place. Like, I'm just taking a feeler.
It's true.
But Jason, we've been talking about it. We get like looking at prices and all that, and it's gonna happen. It's like, yeah, and it's not just even in LA. It's almost everywhere. It's having the same kind of impact of prices just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And now with the pandemic and people that are able to just like San Francisco or whatever, like, oh, I can do all this from home. Well, let me go somewhere where I can have a yard, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a big thing. So,
There's
Oh,
a
I don't
mass
get it.
exodus. It's scary.
and again, then you have an administration that pulls back all the safety nets, right? Because they didn't go into that for the crash in '08, but they added all these rules, which they've been taking away. In the past 3 years, they've been slashing different housing and other, safety net stuff. And also with banks, all the stuff that was implemented so banks couldn't try and do this stuff without any kind of regulation or whatever, they've been stripping away a lot of that as well. So, yeah.
Bailout 2.0.
I have a movie question. In reference to the landlord, when he goes to that guy's house and he's like, I've been paying my rent, am I going to lose this place? I just got my kids in school. He said the landlord was in the dog's name. The mortgage was in the dog's name. Why would somebody do that? Why would they put their mortgage in their dog's name? Is their credit is so
hide
messed up?
money.
To hide money?
To hide money, and it could be credit reasons, that could be, but to be fully honest with you, at least for the movie's context, is all about like hiding money. It's to show that like not only this, like the system is fucked up, therefore kind of like even the people that are not necessarily part of the full system, they try to find ways for them to get some type of advantage. And that's what that landlord was doing, which at the end of the day, what it does, it just hurts this person that's like renting there and like making his life there, because he's thinking, oh, I have this house and I can rent and I'm good. But at the end of the day, even though he's paying, because
the landlord is running off with the money, because it's like, who are you going to charge? The dog?
Yeah.
Well, that or just it's a way the landlord can get multiple mortgages, right? So he knows that they aren't checking stuff.
But he wasn't paying the mortgage.
Yeah, because also if you have, the more properties you have, the more, of course, like you get taxed higher. But if you kind of hide those properties under different LLCs or different names or things, that entities that are not necessarily directly connected to you, then that's the way you can like hide that money and like basically in a way do some type of money laundering. And I know of people that literally own more than 13 Airbnbs that have done shit like that, And right now, like ever since pandemic happened, I'm like, I don't know how they are gonna live, because now they have like over 13 properties that nobody's gonna stay, So
Sounds like a nightmare.
De la vie.
But I imagine that's the dog that also probably has a mail-in ballot.
What?
Trump said that dogs are getting mail-in ballots. That's why it's rigged. So maybe that's the dog he was talking about.
But I mean, now that you bring the ballot thing, like this is a legit thing that has been happening for decades in the United States. You know that dead people have been voting?
Yeah.
It's been rigged since JFK. After JFK, that's all I got.
JFK voted after he
No,
got
no, no, no. It's
shot?
been rigged after JFK. That's all I
No.
gotta say. So
But
I'm
that-
like,
that-
look,
Dino's
that
like,
happened-
no,
everything
this
true.
was not rigged. It's honest.
Everything
No,
has.
I was gonna say it's very nice that you say since JFK. It's been rigged before JFK. Can go all the way to the Civil War.
But this happens every election. And
Oh,
only
no.
here. Only here.
What do you mean? Only here in the U.S.?
And they don't do that in Puerto Rico.
But other places have that. Well, so my uncle passed away in February, and they mail in. They do mail ballots. So I'm like, there's a possibility that he might get a ballot, you know. And then it just depends. Like you gotta be like, hey, oh yeah, my grandma got one. She hadn't died yet. She was in hospice, you know, and that's just one of those things. I mean, she made it to 95, so you either gotta be like, hey, Oma, you want to vote? Like, who do you want to vote for? You know, if you wanted to. So dead people have been voting, not just here in the U.S. Chicago used to be really bad about it. Illinois was horrible with that.
That's still America.
Yeah. But it's more than just the U.S. Other countries also have an issue with that. Countries, not islands. Not to throw shade to Puerto Rico, but I don't know.
I see you throwing shade.
It's all land and power. Whatever.
Cuba would never
Take
do
the
that.
tension there.
Cuba would never do what?
Cuba
have dead people voting for elections? Yeah, they would never.
Never. Does anybody? I'm gonna open the floor for everybody. If anybody has any more questions about the movie that they want to throw before final thoughts.
No.
Alrighty then. What was that, Dino?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then final thoughts. What are your final thoughts? Let's start with JP.
My final thoughts is like it's weird because like the reason why I didn't like the movie is its actual strong suit in a way. It's definitely its own thing. It's educational and like it does take its time to try to keep you up to pace with what's going on. So that's appreciated. But I mean, overall, I don't know. Like it has its fun moments. I feel like this is more for like to watch for the enjoyment of the actors because the actors do a pretty good job, except for Ryan Gosling. I'm just kidding. He does an okay job. He's just not my favorite. So I guess that's literally my final thought. Like it's a good movie. It's a different movie. It does have some similarities to other films that I've seen before. But I don't know if they took influence from this movie because they came out after this one. But it's not my favorite. I'll probably just watch it once and that's it. So, but for me, like it's good, but like once is more than enough for me.
A side note, JP, have you seen The Nice Guys?
Oh shit! Hold on. Let me take a look. See. I think I know which one you're talking about.
With Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling.
Oh my god. I know of it, but I've never seen it. Yeah.
Well, watch that one. And then maybe you like Ryan Gosling a little bit more.
Maybe.
He just doesn't.
I
He
can't
just doesn't
forgive
like
him
the
for the
character.
Notebook. I'm just kidding.
Jason, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I really like the movie. I would watch it again, actually. Mostly as a learning mechanism. And especially like I would recommend it to people who would ask me like, hey, could you explain this to me? And I'm like, no, but I know a guy who can. It's Adam McKay. Check out The Big Short. Because it's one of those things, man. Like, especially with like the end credits or whatever you call them, where it's like the epilogue credit, where we're gonna be forced to repeat this again, man. And I just want to know how and why, and so I could just sort of be conscious of it. Like, I want to be able to see it coming too. You know what I mean?
How you can be the trend spotter?
To a certain degree, man. Like, I don't want to be the guy holding the bag at the end. You know what I mean? Like, that's ultimately, and I don't want people I know to be holding the bag at the end. So the more I can become educated, and if I could do it in a way that's entertaining at the same time, and like the acting is fine. It's really good. So, in that regard, I would also recommend the movie Bombshell, especially for the people who may have hated this movie but took something away from it, because
I
Bombshell.
thought who liked Fox News.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, for people who like Fox News, I think everybody should watch it because it's an inside look at a machine,
Yeah.
and it's a machine that everybody should have questions about, especially in this climate. And it also talks about how Trump even got elected in the first place, and the role that Fox News played in that. So
And then,
I would recommend Bombshell for sure, and all the acting in that movie is brilliant.
Margot Robbie is also in that. That's
she's great in it.
Yeah.
who plays Megan Kelly in that one? Because I think
That's
the same makeup guy.
Charlize Theron.
I think the same makeup guy who did this film did the makeup for that one, and I was like, that one's insane because I thought that was Megan Kelly.
It looks like her. She sounds like her. Charlize. I mean, she was nominated for an Oscar for that. She's so good.
Who's real good?
Charlize Theron as Megan Kelly.
She and Steve Carell make my favorite characters in the world.
They're fantastic.
Which one for Charlize Theron?
Oh, Monster?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like,
and which one for Carell?
Did she win for that one?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, Little Miss Sunshine, sure, yeah.
She did win. Charlize won for Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Which also when the whole Me Too stuff was coming up and all that, she talked about that movie and how she wanted to do her character, but they wanted, I guess, more Thelma Louise, or I think there were people in the studio that were wanting her to, like be more sexy, or just like, no, you can be yourself and be a mass murderer type of thing.
Nah, she played that person real good, like, because that person definitely was not that in real life either.
No,
definitely not.
All right. I guess I'll jump on my final thoughts. Been combination. I think this film now should go into like Econ 101 or Intro to Economics in high school or something like that. Like,
they're gonna have to censor it.
Yeah. Are they? I mean, Margot Robbie has bubbles. Like,
no, they say the F word a lot, and there's a stripper as well.
There's strippers in high school. Look at
That's true.
Anyway, I really enjoyed the movie until like towards the very end, where shit gets real and like it's real, and even though it's made up, it's real. But it was really well acted and very well done. Cinematically, it was very well done. So, final thoughts. I hope I never watch it ever again. I don't know if I can really watch Bombshell. I just hate those people so much. And hate is a big word. My dad always says, Dino, no odias nada. Odiar es algo muy fuerte. No te gusta, pero no odias. So I try not to hate, just dislike, but I really hate.
Radiate love, man. Where is it at? Go meditate. Go take a birth.
I don't know. I feel like those people deserve the hate.
I don't know. When you take advantage of other people, that's when I start hating. It's taking advantage of people. So,
Naomi, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. At first, this movie was confusing, and it will remain confusing as long as I educate myself a little furthermore on these financial terms. I will probably understand it a little better. I enjoyed the acting. The cinematography was great. The music on it was amazing. I like the hero in the movie, which is Steve Carell. He cared a lot about humanity. So this movie is like begins in this chronological order where you're like able to understand what happened in the 70s to how it led to what's going on in the future. So I don't know, it's just informational. I recommend it to those people who want to understand a little bit about the economic crisis that happened in 2008. I mean, we were all affected on it. I was, parents were, I'm sure everyone was. So I recommend this movie to everyone. That's my final thought.
I have a quick question. Sorry. Was there a trigger point for Christian Bale's character to look into that? Or was he, like, in the movie, like, is he just, like, check these numbers? Did it ever come up, like, what got him to check into that?
When the movie first starts, he is, actually, no. He does mention it. He does mention it. They don't show it, but there's in the interview. He's talking to the guy, and he tells him he hires him basically just to go through all the bonds and see, like, what's inside these mortgage-backed securities. Like, I want to see each and every. There's 1,000 of them in there. He goes, yeah, that's your job now. Go through, give me all of them. I forget what it is, but he mentions it. Maybe it's in narration. Ryan Gosling, like one guy noticed like abnormality or something. It's like a line.
Well, thank you.
Cool. So my final thought will be that it's a great movie. This is my third time watching it, and every time I watch it, I get something extra. I feel like, especially because I don't watch it, I watch it during a period of time. I probably watched it when it came out, and maybe 2 years later, and now in 2020. So years go by, and because I'm getting more financially savvy, more financially literate, I get more of the movie versus, like, I remember when I watched it the first time, I wasn't clever to rewind the movie and pause it. I kind of wanted to go through it. So I was like, oh, what was that? I don't know. And I just kept watching it versus this time it's like, oh, I get that. And, oh, I'm getting this a little bit. There's still certain things that for sure they went through my head, but it's just good to just be aware of the lingo that's out there. Because like we said here, it's just meant to confuse people. That's all it is. But at the end, when you break it down and the definition, it's very simple things. They just use gigantic words. They make their own language to kind of not be able to, like, regular people to not get it or make it like harder for them. Yeah, basically. And I would definitely recommend this movie versus like a Wolf of Wall Street, because Wolf of Wall Street is just sex, drugs, get a bunch of money. This one actually you learn something out of it. And I think to further my education, because unfortunately there's not a lot of these movies made, but I did stumble upon this series from Showtime called Black Monday that also covers like this type of scenario. It's more like priors, like in the 80s and stuff. But I'm definitely going to watch that series.
It's based on the Black Monday, or it's based on the financial crash in 88, I think, or 87 or 88.
Yeah, and it's just good to just, know what happened, because we live in cycles and certain things tend to repeat itself. And crashes, believe me, as long as you have you're going to have at least 10 more years of life, you're going to see another recession coming. Because recessions typically come every 5 to 7 years, something like that.
We are in a recession, sir.
Yeah, we are in a recession, and we're going to be on another one soon. Just
a double recession.
In a blink of an eye, you're going to see it. So, yeah, definitely a great movie to watch. Now, for next week is JP's turn. And JP...
Naomi's already in a recession. They turned the power off at her place.
No,
Oh man.
actually, it stays really hot in this motherfucker, so we like the lights off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you
Yeah,
go.
true.
There you go.
Sorry.
Next movie is gonna be Weird Al Yankovic's UHF. I'm just fucking. It's we'll probably watch that later, but not the next one. It's gonna be Eddie Murphy's My Name is Dolomite.
Oh, nice.
That's a really good
I love
movie.
it.
Which
I'm
is
glad that you
available
guys
on
like it.
Netflix.
I'm glad that you guys liked it because I actually have not seen it yet. So
Cool.
it will be my first time watching it, and then sharing my experience with you guys.
And I believe for a bonus, there was on Amazon Prime, there's a Dolomite documentary, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
It was really good.
Thank you for that, because I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Gonna catch it as well. Hopefully, you'll make the next review
Because
much
I
more informative.
this will be my second time watching the movie. I watched it when it came out, but I don't remember extremely too much. But I do remember after watching the movie going, I kind of want to watch the original guy, you know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the original movie?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I
It's
referenced
good.
I might
It's
watch
good.
it. I might watch it.
I referenced the movie poster to make a recent movie poster, so
Oh, nice.
yeah. I'm excited.
And there you go. Dolomite is my name on Netflix next week. JP's turn. We'll catch you next time on Oye Cinema Club. Take care. Peace. Subscribe. Hit the like if you agree with me, and dislike if you don't agree with Dino.
No, we want more likes, so just.
Oh yeah,
like,
my like. Okay, just
yeah,
like,
like me.
everybody.
just like it. And Naomi, comment again. All right.
Hey, I'm Isaac Valadez from Oye Dímelo Network. I am the head videographer. You can click here to see more of my work, and please subscribe.